My dad used to ride horses. Then life happened and he stopped and he never started again. That's not unusual. That's just what happens. Work things, sad things, children things. The dreams to put down for a second and somehow never pick back up. Now here's the part I didn't see coming. I grew up watching him do that and then spent the last 30 years doing the exact same thing. Different dreams, same folder. The eventually folder. The one we all have. The one that is absolutely definitely going to get dealt with soon. This is the story of what happens when you finally delete the folder. And also why I once dismounted a horse directly over its head. We'll get there. I work with elderly people with disabilities, people who, if you ask them what they regret, don't say, I wish I worked more. They say, I kept waiting to feel ready. I've heard some version of that sentence more times than I can count. And every time I nodded along like a very understanding person who was absolutely not doing the same thing. So I made a list. It's not called a bucket list. Bucket lists are for people who've already made peace with a delay. I discovered something called a Fucketlist. Things one are done postponing. And sitting there for no logical reason was ride a horse again. I wasn't just thinking about riding a horse again. I was trying to prove I could stop postponing my life. Psychologists call it temporal self-appraisal. The idea that your future self is significantly more capable, confident and generally sorted than your current self. Future you has good posture. Future you has done the research. Future you owns appropriate footwear. Current you is stress eating everything in sight and wondering if the horse will sense your personality issues. Horses are intuitive animals, I am aware of this. It made things worse. What if you sense something? What if I'm actually a bad person and only the horse knows? My artist friend Hannah had been offering to let me ride her horse for years. But I was stiff or busy or not mentally prepared and this one I'm most embarrassed about, I was worried about looking ridiculous. I didn't want to look like an idiot in front of a horse who cannot post about it. And somewhere in the back of my head, the whole time was my dad, who also loves horses, who also stopped. On my 47th birthday, stiff from rock climbing 3 days earlier, which was also on the list, I got up at 5 a.m., packed a bag of carrots, and I went. The horse's name was Jack. Jack had pulled away from my hand when I tried to pet him the day before. So we had, as they say, a vibe issue. Things I did wrong. I needed a stool to mount. I held the reins like a cartoon character. I rode barefoot. No notes, no regrets. And my arms apparently forgot that they were attached to a horse and not balloons full of helium. But here's the thing about Jack. Jack was completely fine. Calm, steady, patient with my nonsense in a way that honestly put most humans to shame. He didn't need me to arrive confident. He just needed me to show up and hold the reins, however badly. Then came the dismount. I don't know what happened neurologically. I genuinely don't, but I swung my leg over the horse's head. Over his actual head and landed on the ground in a full Spider-Man crouch. Jack looked at me. I looked at Jack. A moment passed between us that I will carry to my grave. The horse was unbothered, and somehow so was I. There's an old Arab proverb. Yes, we're doing a proverb. I dismounted a horse with my face and we're doing a proverb. Stay with me. Win thy horse's heart first, then speaketh to his brain. Which I think means stop trying to be ready. Stop reasoning your way into starting. The horse doesn't care about your preparation. He cares whether you showed up. I rode the horse. It was imperfectly and slightly chaotic, and I landed like a superhero who skipped leg day, and it was one of the best things I've done in years. But here's the part I keep thinking about. My dad gave horses up because life happened. Work things, sad things, children things, and his baby, me, grew up, made a list, rode a horse on her birthday, and didn't invite him. He didn't ask. But I didn't think to ask him either, and maybe that's the real thing I put in my eventually folder. Not the ride, the call to come watch me ride. His one piece of advice, by the way, when I told him I was finally going to ride, sit up straight. Not be careful, not are you sure you're ready, just sit up straight. Like I already knew the rest would sort itself out. So here's the question I'm leaving with you. and I want you to actually answer it in the comments right now. What's your horse? What's the thing that's been sitting in the eventually folder, collecting dust, waiting for the version of you that has better posture and more confidence? Because that version of you isn't coming. I've looked. They're not on their way. But the horse is still in the paddock. And it turns out if you show up with enough carrots, it doesn't care what state you're in. Call your dad. Book the thing. Ride the horse. Sit up straight.